Hello and welcome back to 3-Day Weekend. I have a 2011 Jeep Grand Cherokee Laredo 4x4 up on the lift today, and it has 152,000 miles on it, and a wheel bearing has gone bad. Oh, not that wheel bearing. That wheel bearing has gone bad. 152,000 miles on it though. That's a pretty good run for a wheel bearing. We're going to replace that today. So let's get to it. Obviously, the first thing we got to do is take off these wheels. And if you're in New York State and you've got lug nuts like these ones, then they have probably swelled. So sometimes that's tricky and you got to sneak them out with different size sockets. First thing we're going to do after the wheel is out of the way is take off the brakes. We're going to take the whole bracket off, which is held in by 2 bolts on the back side. We've got one up here and one down here. And those are 21 millimeters. I hit it with an impact, and the bottom one came loose. Right in there. The top one wants no part of that. So I've set up the standard breaker bar in a pipe, and I'm going to apply some maximum torquage to it. Came right out. No problem. Now, before I get these all the way loosened up, we're going to grab a piece of wire so we can hang this up here off the springs so it's out of the way. Next up is the rotor. Again, New York State. It's not going to come off easy. I usually grab Thor's hammer, my 3-pound sledge, and just hit it right here, kind of back, forth, up, down, and that'll usually break it loose. But just to make sure it doesn't jump up there, hit me in the foot, we're going to put on what I call the insurance policy. All right, let me grab my hammer. Just don't want to hammer on the braking surface to get it loose, otherwise you're going to feel that in the brakes later on. And we're not doing a brake job, we're doing a bearing job. All right. You saw me spraying PB Blaster because we're going to have to take this off, and that does not look terrific, but it's usually not as bad as it seems. You can also see the back side of the hub bolts. See, there's the threads. There's the next one. There's the next one. These usually don't stick too bad, but they're in there pretty tight. So we're going to loosen those up too. That one there, that one here, and one over here. To get to those a little bit easier, you can just turn the wheel so you can pivot it around and get to it. So I'm going to time lapse that once I tell you that they are 15 millimeter, I do believe. Oh, they're rusty. Yeah, I do believe they're 15 millimeter. You see me taking the 3 bolts out, hub bolts, got those. Now I'm working on this. In hindsight, I should have taken this off with the brakes on, then I could have someone hold the brakes and hold that steady. But plan B, we got a crowbar up against the frame there, and I'm turning with my standard issue breaker bar with a pipe. 1.25 inches is what I'm using on that one, and I just got it to break loose. I'm gonna finish taking that off. We're just gonna beat the living tar out of it from the back side right here until it starts coming off. I hit it for so long, eventually my battery died, and when I restarted it, my microphone wasn't working. But I started with a 3-pound sledge, ended up with a full-size sledgehammer, and it just wasn't coming on. So now you see this yellow attachment. I'm going to show you that in a minute. My dad brought that down. Found it on Amazon for about 50 bucks, and that is what it took to finally get this bearing out of here. So that's the tool. It just bolts on with a couple of your lug nuts, and it gives you the leverage you need with a sledgehammer to pop that thing out of there, because it was seized in there. Clearly, that was an original part. There's a beautiful shot of my floor. Yep, that's what we were getting out of there. The axle wasn't frozen in. So, thanks, Dad. Yeah, see ya. And that's the part. And I will put the link to this part in the video description. A lot of cleaning up to do. I'm going to get some wire brushes and stuff. Clean that whole edge up, so it's sitting there nice and flat. Clean this back plate up. Yeah, lots of cleaning to do. So put your backing plate in. Now I usually grab one bolt at least and just kind of stick it in there so it hangs. But see, it wants to rock sideways, so we're going to stick a second one in. Just want it to stay put while we're working on getting the hub lined up. And we've got our new hub. We put it in like that. Get a couple of these bolts started. Then we'll go around and start tightening them up with the impact. And we're tightening these up to pretty stinking tight. That's the official torque spec. Next up is our axle nut, and it gets the same torque as the hub bearings, pretty stinking tight. That leaves us with the brake rotor next. Just slide that in. And the caliper goes on. And then I disconnected the ABS sensor from the brake line so I could hang the caliper up out of the way, so make sure we get that back in. And this time, double check up here, make sure you got your coat hanger out, which we did. Now we just got to put the wheel on. One pointer, if you're having trouble getting torque onto this, now would be the time to do it because the brakes are back on. So have someone pump those up, hold it for you, and you'll be able to turn that pretty good. Alright, we can let this thing down and torque the lug nuts. And that's it. If your diagnosis was correct, it's not going to make that awful grinding noise anymore when you drive it on your next test drive. If it does, then you get to do the other side next. So that'll be fun. But this one, I turned it, felt pretty nasty. So I'm pretty confident that was it. So that's going to be it for me today. Kind of a tough job getting that hub out of there. That part, I wouldn't have been able to do it with that part, I think. Well, maybe just keep beating on it and stuff. But snowplow. Yeah. But other than that, the big pipe and the breaker bar, just some big bolts. I don't know, five bolts and a nut I think we took out. Not too bad. But that's the whole project. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate every viewer and every subscriber. If this video helped you out, maybe save you some money, hit that super thanks button. That really helps me out quite a bit. All right, hope to see you again for another video right here on 3-Day Weekend.